Hello there. So I want to talk about post-exercise nutrition. You know, I train a lot of athletes and a lot of different people, and one component that I feel like we all need a better understanding on is post-exercise nutrition, and it's really what we should do with our bodies right when we're done our workout. So before I jump into the meat of this actual video, there's just a few terms that I want to go over. Some of them you may know, some of them you may not know. However, I think it's good for all of us if we just get a little more clarity on what each word is. So our first word is glycogen. Okay, glycogen is glucose stored in your muscle tissue. Everything I talk about in this video right now is geared 100% towards muscle tissue. A lot of these terms could be applied to other areas of your body, but our only focus right now is muscle tissue, and this isn't the end-all be-all video. There is some information in here that's going to help you, and some stuff you just throw away and take the good stuff and leave the rest. Okay, so glycogen in your muscle tissue is stored form of glucose. So a bunch of glucose molecules in your muscle tissue is glycogen, and that's important, and we'll get to that later. Secondly, glucose. Glucose is basically when you have a carbohydrate, your body breaks it down, goes to your liver, and your liver converts it into glucose, and that gets transported throughout the whole body. Glucose is sugar, so when you drink Gatorade or orange juice, that's pure sugar, and that's what glucose is. That's important. Insulin, okay? Insulin is an important ingredient post-exercise also, and insulin is used to transport nutrients to your body. So when your insulin spikes, it's really to drive nutrients into different parts of your body, specifically muscle tissue, as we're going to talk about today. Next is cortisol, and cortisol is really a stress hormone that essentially breaks your body down. So too much cortisol in your body, cortisol is actually released from your adrenal cortex, which is right above and connected to the adrenal gland. But cortisol is released when you're stressed out a lot, and that's what actually breaks your body down. So when you're working out and you're lifting weights or sprinting or whatever activity you're doing, some level of cortisol is released in your body, but too high of levels is actually detrimental to you actually keeping and maintaining your muscle tissue. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Anabolic, okay, this is a good word. The anabolic stage of your development is any time that your body is actually promoting growth. Anytime your body is promoting growth, it's the anabolic stage, as opposed to the catabolic stage. And your catabolic stage is when your body is breaking down. So during exercise, especially strenuous exercise, your body is in a very catabolic state because it's breaking down. And it's very important to know these things because some level of muscle tissue breakdown is good, but too much is not good. And the last term we want to talk about is amino acids. Okay, amino acids, basically when you eat chicken or a protein source, your body, just like the glucose, your body transforms the chicken or the protein into amino acids, and it gets sent to your body to build up your muscle tissue. So with that being said, let's jump into the video. So now that we have the definitions out of the way, revert back to those if you need to, refer to them if you need to, look them up yourself. They're very good words, okay? So let's talk about what happens when your body actually is in exercise, in particularly strength training. Running long distances isn't as applicable as strength training, sprinting, athletic performance. So number one, okay, let's pretend right here, let's pretend this is a muscle. Let's just pretend this is your bicep, for instance, okay? This here is where these little glucose molecules are stored. These glucose molecules together is glycogen, which we discussed. Glycogen in your muscle tissue is held together as glucose. So glucose, when you eat it or ingest it, it gets stored in your muscle tissue, and that's what's called glycogen, okay? Glycolysis, lysis is the breakdown of, glycolysis is actually the breakdown of this glycogen into glucose when you're actually exercising for your body to use it as energy. Now this is very important. This is very important because when you are strength training and you don't have enough glycogen in your muscle tissue, your body is actually going to break down the amino acids to use for energy. That is not good. We don't want that. We want to make sure that we have enough adequate glucose in our muscle cells to provide the energy that's needed for your workout. Glucose can only be put in your muscle cells one way, by ingesting them. So you got to make sure that you're adequately eating the things that you need, carbohydrates, that kind of thing, because that's what's going to store the energy in there for you to have the energy to meet the demands that you're placing on your body. Okay, so glycolysis, again, is the breakdown of these molecules to give your body the necessary energy to perform the action. Okay, so what happens is during exercise, as your body is using these as energy, it's not really replenishing itself. So after, let's say, a 60-minute intense workout, typically your muscle tissue glycogen is pretty much depleted. It's pretty much gone. And the only way to get that is by having some type of sugary drink post-exercise. And I say sugary drink because it's easier for your body to break down a liquid than it is for it to be a solid. So that's one part of that. Secondly, when your body is short of these molecules, your body will begin to break itself down. And as an athlete, you want to make sure that you have everything that you need to perform your activity at highest levels possible. Okay, so the reason post-exercise nutrition is so important is because you and I both have about a 45-minute window post-exercise where getting these nutrients is vital. So we have a 45-minute window. Our muscles are very metabolically active, meaning they are like screaming, especially your muscle tissue, screaming for nutrients. It's screaming for us to provide what it needs. So with that being said, when you're working out, lifting, sprinting, any of that stuff, our bodies are in a very catabolic state, as we stated earlier. Catabolism is really the breakdown of. So when you're lifting, you're breaking down muscle tissue, you're depleting your glycogen stores, and that is what actually promotes growth. Now, when you get done working out, typically your body's still in a catabolic state. So you want to switch from a catabolic state to an anabolic state, because as we stated earlier, the anabolic state is actually what promotes growth. So during workout, you're in a catabolic state, your body's releasing levels of cortisol, not like crazy amounts, but enough to break down muscle tissue, and you want to switch that. You want to reverse that, because the longer you stay in that state, the longer it is that your body's actually breaking down as opposed to being built back up. So 45 minutes. You have a 45-minute window when you get done a strength training exercise program to get your body what it needs. In particularly the spike of insulin, because insulin, as we stated earlier, helps provide nutrients to the body. When you have a sugary drink, it spikes your insulin, and since your muscle cells are very metabolically active, they're very receptive to what you feed it, it's going to be very receptive to insulin. When your insulin spikes, your blood flows, all the nutrients can go to the muscle tissue. So when you have that Gatorade or you have that orange juice or chocolate milk, what have you, it's spiking your insulin and driving all the nutrients back to your body, back to your muscle cells. Now, if you don't get that glucose source, then your body isn't replenishing the glycogen. So when you go to perform your next activity the next day or the same day, whatever it is, 3 days from now, your muscle cells don't have the necessary glycogen and the glucose to break down for energy, so it starts breaking down your own muscle tissue. This is very important. This is very important, okay? So again, we have a 45-minute window post-exercise where your body is, when it first starts, that 45-minute window is in a catabolic state, cortisol levels are high, and your body is breaking itself down, essentially. So you want to stunt that. And you do that by increasing the hormone insulin, because insulin stops all that. So you drink that sugar and boom, that starts happening. The influx of nutrients, the switch from catabolic state to an anabolic state, cortisol levels drop. It's very key to your success. Now, I just want you to understand one thing. There is a ratio. There is a 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1 ratio. And the ratio is dependent upon muscle tissue, how much muscle tissue you have, how heavy you are, and how demanding the activity you just performed was, okay? So a 2-to-1 ratio means 2 carbohydrates for every 1 protein. Okay, so if you get done a 60-minute intense workout where you were lifting, you were jumping, you were slamming stuff, pushing stuff, climbing ropes, battle ropes, any of that stuff, your body is breaking down a lot of glycogen and you need to replenish probably 3 to 1. So if you have 60 grams of carbohydrates, you're gonna have 20 grams of protein. If your workout isn't crazy strenuous, you're doing a couple lifting exercises, you're doing some curls and some bench press, maybe your weight is inhibiting you from actually doing a lot of different exercises, then you need a less ratio. So when I say 2 to 1, 3 to 1, or 4 to 1, that means for every 2 carbohydrates, you need 1 gram of protein. For every 3 carbohydrates, you need 1 gram of protein. For every 4 grams of carbohydrates, you need 1 gram of protein. It just really is all dependent upon how strenuous your exercise is. So if you're just starting out and you are overweight, let's say, your body typically has enough stored sugar to get you through your workout. So you want to deplete that as much as possible and then give like a 2 to 1 ratio. So the less strenuous the workout is, the less ratio you need. And on the flip side of that, if you are a high school wrestler that wrestles in an all-day tournament and has 5 matches, you need like 4 to 1. Now protein is awesome, of course, because it breaks down into amino acids, okay? So let's just say you have a 60 carbohydrate drink with 20 grams of protein. 5 minutes after you get done your workout, you're drinking this drink, your insulin's spiking, and all those breaking down components are reversed, and now your body starts to promote growth. Sugar helps replenish the glycogen, which you need for energy. The protein helps rebuild your muscle tissue. I'm going to say that again. When you drink the sugary drink, the carbohydrates, the sugar helps replenish the energy that you used, and the protein helps rebuild the muscle that you broke down. Very important to know this. The more strenuous your workout is, the more imperative it is that you give it what it needs, that post-exercise window. So I hope this video helps you. Like I said, this post-exercise nutrition is very important, and if you wait any longer than 45 minutes, your body actually goes back to somewhat normal. Your muscles aren't metabolically active, and now you kind of start over. So make sure that when you're done your exercise for the day, you replenish with your carbohydrates and your protein, because it's essential for ultimate and elevated growth for the long haul. So I hope this video helps you. We'll see you next time. So that was the post-exercise nutrition video. I hope this information helps you in some way. And it's so essential, it's so important to get this part of exercise and nutrition down, because if you're constantly breaking your body down and not repairing the way that you should, you're not going to be able to operate at peak levels of fitness the way that you want to. So there you have it, take the good. If you have questions, contact me. You can contact me at matt@trainermovement.com, or you can comment down below. I'll see you, and continue to be great every single day.